Hi everyone from Australia, it's Yoda here, back again. Just got a little tech tip on some JP controllers, undercarriage controllers, and building a 1/6 scale, really nice jet. It was given to us to review, and that'll be up shortly on Mickey BRC's channel. It's really nice jet, so look out for that one. But the JP gear, there's not a lot on the net. There goes my little sausage dog. She's eaten so many mangoes, she's so fat. Anyway. Yeah, so there's not a lot of information on the JP controllers and how to program them, and I found out a lot of stuff yesterday thanks to the help of Steve from Ostars. Contacted the factory and called in some technical help, and we worked it out. So I'd just like to pass it on to you guys. So what we're talking about in particular is this controller here from JP. Comes with the undercarriage. You can see it's F-16 style undercarriage. I won't give too much away at the moment, but you'll see the videos up shortly. And I went looking for instructions because we need to program gear doors and have it sequenced correctly and everything. And it was really hard. I found one sheet of information and it was a little bit disjointed, and it didn't mention any sort of detail about truly how to set this up. So let's go, let's do this. Inside my jet, I've got gear door servos for the main gears. I've programmed the front gear door and gear leg, and that was the one that I did all the troubleshooting on. You can see I've got the push rod disconnected for the door. It's, I'll just move the door, you'll see it there. Yep, okay, so we can't break anything, and I've put position marks on the former here, just to give me reference to when I'm programming, so I get it close. I'll make sure it's not actually over driving. I'll say inside the tolerances, and then we'll fit the servo horn back up, and then we'll do the fine adjustments after that. So just not to break anything. Some of you may be wondering why I've got plastic horns, the nylon type. I like to have weak links in these powerful servos, and if you do mess up, accidentally have the aircraft on the ground, it fires up and it opens a door. You're not breaking doors and you're not wrecking servos. It'll just bust the servo arm. They're easy to replace. So just one of my little ideas that I use instead of using the hard metal that's going to break everything else. Before we get started, there is a switch here which you can regulate the power to your servos. So if your servos can only handle 6 volts, you need to switch that down. I've got it at 7.4 to 8.4. Okay, I've got power now provided here, 7.4 volt battery, and this is just to set up, but I'll be powering with a 7.4 LiPo. I'm programming line number 3 or servo number 3. I've got it plugged into this port here, and that port there is the feed to my receiver, which is the central box for the gear channel, so it recognizes the gear switch. I've already programmed servo 1, which is my front leg, and we're going to go ahead and program servo 3 here, which is my right hand undercarriage. Okay, so you notice I haven't got the undercarriage plugged in, so we can't go wrong there. And I'll just show you as best I can. We've got mode buttons down this side, then we've got plus minus buttons in the center, and then we've got an array of lights, and it all means something. And I'll provide the sheet that I found from the internet, which is a rudimentary instruction. Before we get started, I'll just show you that the servo is powered up. I've got a test servo horn on there just for reference, and I've put some marks just to give myself an idea of starting point and finish point over there, of where I need to be close to before I put the actual door on. I've got my jetty radio undercarriage in the up position. The signal here is saying in the up position, and I'll start to program now. So 1 to line 3 is down the bottom here, and this is the mode button. I'm going to hold that mode button in. It'll flash. It doesn't give you a lot of time. It'll start flashing. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and you can change the direction while it's flashing. I'll just show you. Okay, so we want it to start in that position there, and then I hit the mode button again and it starts flashing for endpoints. and you can actually change the endpoint. See the servo moving there? At the moment, I'm close to where I want it, so I'm just going to leave it about there, and we'll do the fine tuning once. Okay, so if you do nothing, it jumps out of that programming mode, so you have to hold the mode button in again. And there we go. And then scroll through, that's where I was. The other endpoint is now flashing, and we can start adjusting that. Okay, so I'll get it close. And then the last step is something that I don't understand. I'm leaving it on C, which I think is just the standard mode. And that's program now. So C, I think, is just doors open, stay open when the gear's down. And I think the D mode might be like a double sequence door for things like Mustangs. So we're still working on tuning the door at the moment, and I've loosely fitted the actual push rod to the door. I've been back onto the programming here without actually plugging in the undercarriage yet, and just got the door so it's working where I want it. So both endpoints are correct and the correct direction. And one thing you need to do, once you're programming this thing, you've actually got to push all the way through 4 steps. Go through the whole sequence, then leave it, and it'll stay on C flashing, and then it'll go back to revert back out of programming, and it'll remember that. If you stop halfway, it's not going to remember it. So you need to go through all 4 steps, and it'll program. It'll hold the program. Okay, this is where we get to test if we've done it right. So gear's plugged in. Test servo arm is on with the door disconnected so we don't break anything. And I'll switch my transmitter switch gear now. What we should see is the servo move first. There we go. And the gear comes down. Isn't that beautiful gear too? And the suspension on this JP stuff is beautiful. I really like it, and it's so cost effective. You do a great job. Excellent, let's try the other way. So good, the servo didn't move, so we're not going to smash doors. Here comes the undercarriage. Work of art, that. Hello, door works. There we have it, the programming of the JP controller. I'll do the Servo 2 next. Just before I go, upside down, brake controller. But they provided a brake controller too with adjustable braking both sides. You can get controllers with gyros. This is just as effective if you tune it up. Okay, a couple of noteworthy things that I forgot to say earlier is when you first test, when you put the undercarriage, plug it in, it may not work properly, but just let it go through its first cycle. That's why we don't put the gear door on. Let it go through its first cycle, then the second cycle it should start to pick it all up like that just did. That's the second time I flicked it, and the servo worked correctly as I've programmed, and the undercarriage worked correctly. So just one tip there. The other tip is, once you've done your programming on the servo and you think, oh, I'll test that without plugging the undercarriage in, it won't work. It's not sensing the undercarriage moving, so it can't possibly work. So that'll confuse a lot of people. If you've done your programming on the servo and you just want to test it without plugging in the undercarriage, it will not work, and you think the controller's no good. But it is working. You just have to do it with the undercarriage plugged in. Make sure you don't have the gear door on just to test it. So there you have it, the programming of the JP gear. I really like it, and I'm really liking this jet build. So hopefully I'll be maidening in the next couple of days. I'm really looking forward to that. So stay tuned on Mickey BRC, guys, and fly safe, have fun. Till next time, Yoda.